Hi everybody, Russ and my Hammers 11. Hope I keep saying hi everybody. Hi Mr. Russ. Hi Dr. Nick. Anyway, hope everyone is safe from whatever your channel. Please consider subscribing, hitting the bell icon so you know anytime I put new content on. As always, like to thank our lovely channel sponsors. Ting! Untuck it. Check them out in the description below. We've got another episode of Outside the Bubble. Loads of people are loving these episodes. Maybe there's something in talking to fans outside of West Ham rather than in our own little bubble. So that's what we call it, outside the bubble. See, I don't just throw this. I do throw this show together, to be honest. But today we've got a friend from Crystal Palace. We have lots of banter actually on my lunchtime shows with some Palace fans who come on. When I said we've got Harvey coming on, they're really excited. So here we go. You've got you got a fan base already, Harvey. Let me bring him. It's Harvey from Red and Blue Army. How are you doing, man? You all right?
Thank you very much, mate. Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah, it's funny because literally we have the only people who come on and banter us on my lunchtime shows are Crystal Palace fans.
I think we've got a bit of a thing for doing that, especially on Twitter. I see it a lot. We're very easily, I think, well, offended is probably not the right word, but we're very easily wound up, and I think we give it back quite a bit. So
yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good, Jess. It's all good, Jess. Do you know what? It's funny. When it comes to Crystal Palace, you know, I still do a bit of the old wedding well, obviously not at the moment because there's no weddings or parties anyway. But when I do a little bit of the old DJing for friends and family, and people come over and say, "Couldn't just put a bit of Glad all over, could you?" I still can't play it because I can still close my eyes and see 40,000 yellow shirts bobbing to it in Cardiff, and I still
what a tune.
Bloody Neil Schifferly.
Neil Schifferly peeling away at the back post.
It's funny, isn't it? I'm still refused to play it. It's really funny. Oh, I haven't got it. I'm really sorry. Have you got Spotify? It's not on Spotify. No, it's been
that old
off.
chestnut. Yeah.
Yes. No internet. I can't download it. I'm sorry. Anyway, Harvey, how are you, my friend?
I'm very well, thank you, mate. I'm looking forward to. Well, there's a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel now, in terms of fans coming back to the games. I know it's probably going to be more than likely going to be to start next season rather than the end of this season. But I'm looking forward to getting back into the ground because I've been missing it. I've been missing it a lot. It's been a struggle this season, to be honest. Especially we've had some good results, Palace as well, and I would have loved to have been there. I know I would have been at some of those games as well. So frustrating.
Yeah, and it is especially at Selhurst Park, you know, where the crowd really are the 12th man. You know, it's always a cracking atmosphere, and you when you look at the season, you look at the sort of strangest of some of the results. It is obvious how much the crowd can have a factor on some of the games and some teams. I mean, I look at the table, and it's no surprising that, you know, to be honest, bar Newcastle, everyone in the bottom 4 or 5 has probably got 30,000 stadium, tight, small grounds. Say Newcastle are really bucking the trend, to be honest. Thank God. That's a shame because I love a trip to Newcastle. It's a good, you know.
Yes. Apart from the
steps
up to the away end.
Yeah, exactly.
Apart from that,
that's
everything else is perfect.
Yeah, it's true. I think it has been. It's going to be a bit of a readjustment. I think next season. I think we're going to have a lot of weird results at the beginning of next season when hopefully there's all fans back in. Have you got is your last game at home or away this season?
Last game, I think it's at home. Yeah,
because that's the one, isn't it? They reckon 10,000. Well, there'll be a percentage there.
Yeah, yeah, because we did have fans in briefly. You know, that spell where they were allowing fans depending on what tier you're in, and we did have it for the Spurs game. We ended up drawing that 1-1, and it was. I think the fans made a real difference that day because when we went behind, they really kicked it up a notch, and even with a few fans in the ground, it was noticeable the difference. So
it makes a huge difference. Huge difference. Yeah. We lost 3-1 to Man United, so there we go. It didn't really work for us. That's it. It doesn't really work for us. But I know what you mean. They make a huge racket because there's no racket there at all. And
exactly.
And it was funny, because I remember that whole weekend because I think it was all London clubs were on Sky, and I remember trying to flick over to the clean feed on Sky thinking, I don't want this crowd noise rubbish. Oh, actually it is the crowd. It actually is the crowd. It's like, it's so bizarre. I know. It is weird, but hopefully it's a 10,000 back and then see what happens next year, man. But I know what you mean. There's been some games, I mean, obviously our debacle on Sunday being 3-0 up against Arsenal and losing, and losing, but drawing.
We've all been there.
I know.
We've both been there multiple times. It's not.
It's true. But you think the fans would have, if we had fans there, they would have got on there. I think we'd have probably pushed on second. We'd have actually kept going rather than hang back. So, yeah, it's swings and roundabouts, isn't it? Swings and roundabouts in this game. But as you said, at least there's light at the end of the tunnel. And in general, yourself, away from football, everything all right? You've survived lockdown and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been fortunate. I've been working throughout, so I've kept myself busy, which is good. I know some people have really struggled, maybe not having work to do or have had to, be at home for so long. So, we're all good on that front. The family was safe and healthy. I hope yours are too. Yes. So, great. So, all good on that front. Just waiting for the football to come back.
Yeah, it is now, isn't it?
It's literally at that stage now.
It's like that light at the end of the tunnel. And I mean, when Boris told us about this light, everyone's like, "Oh, brilliant! There we go." And we had to wait till mid-June. It's like, fucking hell, you know what I mean? It's like, but yeah, at least 23rd, end of the week, we can have another family over for a barbecue. I think, isn't it, the 28th or 29th?
Another little milestone.
At least there's no more homeschooling. That's one thing. I don't think I could cope with any more, bless. Not just me. I don't think my daughter could cope with any more, bless her.
I don't envy you there.
No, yes. And we had to pack the mother-in-law back home as well, which wasn't a bad thing, I'll be honest. It wasn't a bad thing. Pat won't watch this. She doesn't have to get on YouTube, so she won't know. But anyway, no, she was great. But yeah, it's a strange time. Weird time in it, but it sorts itself out. And obviously we hopefully have a really cool summer of sport with the Euros and everything. So
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's nearly there, my man. We're doing it. And in general, sort of the season's been a bit up and down for you guys. I think it's fair to say that it's been a sort of an average season.
Yeah, I've been without sounding too cliche, it's been typical Palace, but in many ways we've been very inconsistent, which is what our problem has been the last few seasons. And I was really hoping we'd correct that. And obviously you get your hopes up at the start of the season, winning Southampton first game, good wins off the bat, and then going away to Man United and winning 3-1 there. That was a shock for everyone. And you thought 2 wins off the bounce. And then obviously you go from then on, it's literally been 2 wins, 2 defeats, that sort of trend. And then especially you get in games where we shouldn't be losing. There's been loads of those. And then we've won games we shouldn't have won. It's been typical Palace in that sense, really unpredictable. Don't know which teams, how they're going to perform week in, week out, week after next, if it's going to be a good performance or if we're going to turn up or not. So frustrating in that sense. And I think there's a load of factors that, I could talk all night with reasons why that is, but it's just been typical in that sense that we've been so unpredictable, and for most of the games not in the right way either. It's been the opposite way you would have wanted us to be unpredictable.
Yeah, and obviously I think, am I right in saying in the summer there's like loads of the first team contracts aren't there? So you got
absolutely
15 saves, something ridiculous. So there's
15 of the first team squad. I think that's down to about 11 now. We did sign a few players, but it's a lot of those. To be fair, a few of those players will be going on anyway. I think that we'd be looking to ship them on anyway. But it's still worrying. And a lot of those players are. We've got the oldest squad in the Premier League as well. A lot of those players over the age of 30 or are key players in the team at the moment over the age of 30. So it's something to look at. And also the oldest manager in the Premier League in Roy Hodgson. I think all of that together has been a major factor for some of the results we've been getting, and maybe not having the legs in certain areas of the pitch compared to other teams. Like when we played Leeds, for example, yes, we got a great result in the start of the season, amazing result at Selhurst Park, but then the flip side, away to Leeds, we were run ragged around the park. It was clear to see that we were very leggy. It's loads of factors contributing to this season, and it's been frustrating in that sense. We're safe, and I think we always were going to be safe. But it's frustrating from a fan's point of view because you want to see us kick on and show a bit more ambition to try and, at least breaking into the top 10 would be a very good season for us. And that would be the goal for me going into, this season, next season. It would be the same goal for me personally, baby steps to just show some improvement. But we get in that area and then you just peel off, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, no, I understand totally. I mean, it's going to be an interesting summer, isn't it? As you said, with all the
absolutely,
it could be a massive changing of the guard, almost the case, isn't it? In terms of it, people coming in, things got to be said, contracts got to be agreed, new people got to come in or go. People got to make their minds up. So it's going to be an interesting time, definitely. And I think you're right. I think I've said it before. I think we're batting above our average at the moment. We are. I think
it's a great season. I don't think anyone predicted this.
No, not at all. No, not at all. Believe me.
Yeah.
And I think we had a realistic goal, same as you. Top 10. Let's get into the top 10, and then next year if we're in the top 10, and then as you said, it's baby steps. And it's going to be interesting. But I mean, thinking about it, at least Roy would have had his jab before every other manager in the Premier League.
Yeah, so, of course. He has that.
Mercies.
He's top of the league in that department.
Top of the league.
Yeah, he's
top of the
small goals. The small goals.
It's the little things. It's the little things.
Exactly.
You got to sort out, man. No, it's going to be good. and so in the summer, obviously, what do you think the priorities are for you guys transfer wise? I suppose it depends about who stays and who goes, really, isn't it? In terms of who you bring in.
Of course, I mean, all the attention is going to be around Zaha, of course. Every summer, it's a broken record, but you expect it. The player of that talent, and he's been our talisman. In my opinion, the best player we've ever had, and I think most fans would agree with us there.
Yeah.
And so he's going to be the focal point, focus in all the transfer news, of course. But in general, I think I'm expecting an overhaul in the summer. I think this is going to be the start of a rebuild. And including the manager. Roy's contract's up in the summer as well, and I do think that I still don't think he's going to have an extension signed. I feel like the club would have offered him one by now if that was the case. They're usually quite good at that, getting that done early with managers, not leaving it late, which is starting to appear like it's going to happen. So I do think he's probably going to go in the summer. It will be a shock if he does stay, in my opinion.
Who are you going to get in?
No, that's all the talk. I mean, we've been linked with Eddie Howe.
That's who I think it's nailed, isn't it? It's got to be nailed.
I think if we're going for this young rebuild and trying to bring in younger players, it started this season with Eze coming in, and I think he's going to be massive in terms of our rebuild going forward. Mateta as well in January. He's only 23 years old, a really promising striker from Bundesliga as well. Under 21 appearances for France. So he's looking like a really good signing. It potentially could be a good signing. So, and we're kind of building a spine there, So I feel like we're going to try and build off of that in the summer with some signings, young signings, 25 under that sort of age group, and try and get a bit of a rebuild going. And I do think the manager, it will all come from a new manager coming in, and Eddie Howe kind of fits that mold of a younger manager. I know some fans definitely are split in the Palace department because of the amount he spent at Bournemouth and still went down. I think that's a worry for some people. Sean Dyche's name's been thrown about, and he's probably got a bit more about him in terms of his influence on players. I think the amount he gets out of that Burnley team is incredible, because a lot of those players are, very good championship players at best. Some of them, I think it's fair to say. And, he got that squad, pretty much the same squad to a Europa League finish a few years ago. So that sort of man management, I think, is something I'm very attracted to. And I think we've needed in games this season. So I think it's still a lot of stuff to discuss, and there's still time, of course, but I'm expecting an exciting summer. I'm expecting it to be busy. If we go into start next season with half of the squad gone and hardly anyone in, then I'll be incredibly shocked, and I'll be very, very, very worried. But I'm expecting good things.
No, and I think to be honest, I think a lot of people are trying to do that blueprint now. Get young, hungry players. I mean, now I think that the impact of COVID on football hasn't filtered through just yet. I think in the summer and probably even January next year, you'll see the real impact, obviously, when financial years come out from the previous year. And I think you're right. There's going to be a lot of weird loans, and I think it's going to be like America. Like how they trade players. Like give you Gary Cahill and Kiarte for, I don't know, Ashley Barnes. Oh, it's not a good deal, but you know what I mean. But I think you're going to see some weird and wonderful ways of being a bit of creative accountancy, I think, between these clubs.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting. It's going to be interesting, and obviously with the Euros bang in the middle as well, you're going to have some. The Czech boys are going to come out really good, and then everyone want to buy Czech. Obviously with Soufal and Kufa, everyone's looking at the Republic. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's all good. I love it. No, it's going to be interesting. I think there's loads of clubs going to be rebuilding by the looks of it. It looks like there's a lot of dead wood. I mean, we haven't got many players out of contract. I think Fabianski, we've signed up. We've signed Noble to a 1-year deal. A few, I don't think there's anyone else who's a big name who will be out of contract. So, but yeah, it is what it is, and depends what depends what European competition we're in, Harvey. I wouldn't be saying that. I was going to say that in August. So don't.
There we go. Let's hope you get over the line, eh?
Oh, do you know what? Even if we don't, man. Even if we don't, I'm not. Even if we don't, it's been a good year. Same as you guys. We're safe. That's all we're bothered about. It's the same with you guys. We have this guy. There's a guy. There's a Twitter channel called a profile called West Ham Clips, and he does an alternative commentary. Very, very funny.
Yes,
almost like he's hilarious.
I know what you mean.
And every game, it's like so you might win a game, and it'll be like 13 points to go, and it's all just getting up to that 40 points, and so that's all we're bothered about. Get to hit that 40 points,
and
then we can move on. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a mini league, isn't there? Really, of people like who are usually in that group. It's like you, us, Southampton. You could reel them all off, really, to be honest. And
the big teams will never know. They'll never understand.
They'll never know. Arsenal flitted with it, didn't they, for about a week when they were like 15th,
and then they were
like, Arteta out, and oh, for fuck's sake! This is how we feel. This is how we feel every year. Every year,
they've never been relegated. They don't understand.
I mean, this is the first time. I think this is the first time we spent more than 10 years in the Premier League.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. It's our longest stint as well by a long shot.
I know, small mercies, but anyway. Let's have a bit of fun. So obviously, we try and put together an 11 from players who have played for both clubs. Now, actually, we were just saying before we started, I don't think this is. There's a few, but it ain't a bad. Yeah. I don't think we'll get a bad team, to be honest. I think there's quite a lot of. There's certain clubs where there's a lot of transfer business between, or it might not even be, but it's just the way players move about, and it's always they seem to go to Palace and West Ham, or go to West Ham and then Palace, or vice versa. So I don't think we're going to be too bad, actually. So right, so what we'll do is I tend to go and say, okay, who's going to be, we'll pick a position or whatever. You say you got, I've got. If we've got the same one, great. If we haven't, then we'll have a bit of a chat.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
Nice.
So in goal, who have you got in goal for this combined played for both teams?
So for me, I think this was the hardest one, the goalkeeper. And I was kind of torn between two. And now obviously they've got, from a brief moment, I forgot the criteria, because they've got to play for both teams, right? That's the criteria? Because I was going to go for a bit of nostalgia. I wanted to go with Gabor Kiraly, because I know he had a brief spell on loan with West Ham.
Yeah, it's okay.
Didn't actually play. But having the baggy trackies in there, I think would have been quite entertaining. So I was very close to going in, but in the end, I thought I'd go with someone who actually did play a decent amount of games for the two clubs. So I went with Perry Suckling, who famously was in goal for Palace when we got battered 9-0 by Liverpool back in 1990. That's probably his highlight for us. But I think he's a player who's he's had a decent amount of game time for both clubs. I thought,
that's a great shout.
Deserved a shout.
Yeah, it's a good point, actually. I originally did put down. I did put down Gabor, but you're right, Perry Suckling, because he actually did play for both teams. Albeit
I thought he deserved to for that reason.
Yeah. Although to be fair, over those tracksuit bottoms, what was going on with those tracksuit bottoms? You know what I mean? I actually really respected him, because as a goalkeeper, because I used to go and goal for a little bit, and I'd always wear tracksuit bottoms.
I'm a goalkeeper.
And I never knew why people didn't wear them more often.
Well, yeah, he said himself. He came out. I think the famous quote was, "I'm not a model. I'm a footballer. I wanted to wear something that's comfortable." So he wears. That's why he wore them. So fair play to him. I mean, I can't blame him for that. And he ended up playing well into his 40s as well, didn't he? So clearly, he was doing something right. So.
Doing something right, yeah. No, we'll put Perry in, and also because I think he played for Dagenham Redbridge as well. So it's like our sort of sister club, isn't it? So he's done it twice. Nice. So Suckling's in. That's good. Right. Okay. Let's go. What we'll do is we'll do defenders, but we'll do rather than go left back, right back, we'll say the 4 defenders, because I might have put one in a weird position and stuff.
Yeah.
So who's your first defender then, Harvey?
First defender. I'm going to go with the obvious one, just because I think he's been more of a recent signing for us from West Ham, and for me, still probably behind Gary Cahill, our best centre back when fit, and it's James Tompkins. Obviously, massive for West Ham through the academy, and a massive player for you. And since he came to Palace, he's been fantastic, and I think a real coup for us actually. In the end, getting him for the price we did.
Oh, do you know, absolute steal, wasn't it? Really, I think, and one of those things where like you go, "Oh, I'm gutted he's gone because he's a really good player," and okay, he's not getting much game time, and then we get a situation. I think we had that 3 or 4 like injuries, so he would have ended up probably playing most of that season. Obviously, famously, but he was there for the last season at the Bowling and stuff like that. And I love Tom. He's still so highly regarded at West Ham by the West Ham fans. And even when he comes down to play, he always gets a clap because he's a West Ham boy, Basildon boy, and
of course.
And I love players who he loved the. I mean, obviously he enjoys playing at Palace, but he loved the club so much at West Ham. He'd be happily play him at right back or wherever he could get a game, he'd play. And so I love JT.
Good, but I love the fact as well that he's also just how professional he was, because it could be easy for him, obviously being at West Ham all his life, to come to Palace and to see that dip in performances, moving to a club that's not his club, his boyhood club, his team he supports. And if anything, he's kept that level, maybe stepped up a gear at times as well. And he's I think, fair play to him, because he's been fantastic. When he's been fully fit, he's been plagued with injuries the last few years, unfortunately. But when he's fit, very, very good centre-back.
Yeah. I put him there because he played right back at West Ham, so it's all right.
Yeah, there we go. That's fine.
Right. Who is your next defender then, Harvey?
Next defender. So I'm doing a bit of a mix here. Probably had his better years at West Ham, I'd say. Danny Gabardon.
Yes. Okay, that's good. We're 3 for 3. Well, no, Danny Gabardon. Old Gabs.
Nice.
Love old Danny Gabardon. There he is. Look, just in case you picked him. Oh, he doesn't look looks no different, does he? Look, he looks
I know. He looks about the same age, doesn't he? But yeah, Danny Gabardon, obviously, he probably had his better years, as I said, at West Ham. But when he did come in to Palace, and in that promotion season, he came in at an awkward time. We had injuries to the first 11. He wasn't the starting centre-back. And he did his first few games when he came in for, I think it was Peter Ramage, who was injured at the time, came in for him, and he was very shaky, and everyone was thinking, oh God, are we going to deteriorate here? This little promotion push we were piling on, but by the end of the season, he was just very, very reliable, clutch when he came to the big moments. Played in the playoff final, and obviously, the reason we're in the Premier League, he's a big part of that, filling in at centre back next to Damien Delaney. So for that reason, he's quite a big player actually in terms of Palace's recent history, for filling in the way he did.
Definitely. And I mean, same with us. I mean, obviously we signed him. We signed him at Cardiff, him and Ginger, even James Collins, and he's brilliant. And that's one thing about lockdown, the first lockdown. I don't know if you followed Gabsy's Instagram, but he used to do little DJ sets in his loft every afternoon. I used to love them. He hasn't done them for ages. He's probably got.
I can't imagine that for some reason.
He does it looks like me. He sits there and he doesn't pay attention to anyone talking. He just sits in his.
Yeah. would not have thought that at all, to be honest.
I love Gabbers. He's good. He should be on soon. Hopefully we get him on soon. Right, okay, so we put Tompkins, we put Gabby in. Right, so that's what we're doing so far. This is starting to take shape, Harvey. I like this. Who is your next defender?
Next defender. So I've gone with a player who I think more of a favourite of mine, I think, on Palace fans. I went for Jose Fonte, or Jose Font. A bit of an outsider for me, because for me personally, he was playing for Palace in an era where I was about 10, 11, something like that. It's when he was in the side just before we went into administration, and it was when we went into administration, he was one of the players who was the first to go, because he was just immense for us in that period, and had to ship him on because of obviously couldn't afford to keep him, and ended up being a massive player for Southampton, and then obviously had that spell at West Ham as well. But for me personally, he was one of the first not the first players, but was a massive player in that early-ish period for me when I was watching and supporting Palace. So I have great memories of watching him play. So I thought any chance to put him in, I would.
Okay, we'll write down Jose Fonte. We'll find out who we've all got, because I might decide not to put him in.
Yes, of course.
My prerogative.
Differences.
We put Perry. I put Suckling in. I put Gabor down, but we put Suckling in. So Yeah, so I put in as my second, not centre back, but my next defender.
Yeah.
Friend of the channel, which is why I have to put him in. Razor Ruddock.
Nice. Yeah, I
So
was thinking of Neil Ruddock. Yeah.
because part of the reason is because I've already done the pictures. Again, what is it between these two clubs? They don't seem to age in between
Oh
the
no,
two
they
clubs.
look. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm going to put Razor. The reason I'm going to put Razor is because he actually paid a fair. I mean, Jose, he's one of those guys. We had a bunch of players came in. We had him. We had Arbeloa, Alvaro
Yeah.
Arbeloa, who was
Yeah.
there for 3 months because he basically thought that he was better than us. Well, he did play for Real Madrid, to be fair, so it's fair enough. You know what I mean? Fair enough. And Fonte was like, I was really excited when he signed. Really excited because I thought he's like maybe a year or two. We got him too late, but he never really kicked on.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a Southampton. We had a Southampton fan on, who's a brilliant guy, Mike, Matchday Vlogs, and he was basically saying how he was gutted that Fonte left because he, when some people leave, like Tompkins, I was gutted he left us because he was
Yeah.
like, ugh. and he was gutted that Fonte went to us, but he was more gutted that then Fonte didn't then play, kick on or play games. It was just like a wasted transfer. I think it was a wasted transfer in my
I know
opinion.
what you mean.
But Razor is just Razor.
Yeah.
No, and I've got a soft spot for Hayes. He was the last person I had on the back of my shirt at West Ham. Number 6, Neil Ruddock. Bobby Moore, wore number 6 shirt. No, Razor won it as well. And we've had him on the channel.
There's levels to this.
Oh, there's levels, isn't there? There's absolutely. But honestly, he's a complete nutter. I love him. He's been on the channel. He's a top boy, and if I didn't put him in, he's been in quite a few. I'll be honest, because he's travelled around. So he was in the Liverpool team, he was in the Southampton team, and now he's in the Crystal Palace team. So I'm going to.
No, don't blame you at all.
Draw rank on that. But okay, so we'll put Tompkins, Gabbers, Ruddock. Who's next in the defence?
Well, I think you should pick this one. I know, but the only reason because I actually did my formation is slightly different to yours because I did a 3 at the back because I was struggling to find any decent defenders for me to put in. So,
so I've put a guy who was. I think it's fair to say he probably bookended his career with you and us. He is now. Where's he the manager of now? He always changes manager. He's not a manager anymore now. No, he's not a manager anymore. He made at least 3 appearances for you guys. Chris Powell.
Okay. Nice.
Chris Powell. Now this guy does look different in his pictures.
There we go.
So he really did bookend his career. Obviously he started his career with you guys, and I think then he went to Charlton after us and back to Charlton.
Yeah.
But anyway, I loved Chris Powell. He was the modern day professional, and he was brilliant, and he did a really good job for us. We went up because of him. I think we had him on loan, and then we signed him. That's always good when because we tend to do that. I don't know if it happens to you guys as well. You get a player on loan, and then when you sign them permanently, they turn out to be really shit. He was actually quite good throughout, and top man. And there he is with Nobes. And I love the fact Nobes turned his shirt round. That was the year after. That was the playoff after.
Yeah, second time of asking.
Exactly. Yeah, the second time of asking. Thanks for that, Harvey. We lost Michael Carrick because of you. He left after that. All because of Neil Shipperley. Hey, joking. I love the fact that Mark Noble turned his shirt around the other way just so he knew everyone his name was Mark Noble.
There we go.
I didn't need to do it there. So we're going to put Chrissy Power in. We're drawing rank. So
good shout.
But, I mean, that ain't a bad team to start off with. That ain't bad.
No, good start. Good start.
That's a good start,
good
man.
names in there.
There's some great names, and I think there's some great names to come as well. Right, let's go into mid. Okay, who's your first midfielder then, Harvey?
I'm going to start again with someone who was probably bigger when he was in his time at Palace than necessarily West Ham, but I think he did have some big moments in the West Ham shirt as well. Victor Moses.
I've put Victor Moses in, actually. Yes.
Nice. Obviously, through the Palace Academy, Palace boy, and again, was one of those casualties of our administration period in like 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
Really, a real shame. He only went for a few million to Wigan, and he was a player that was worth so much more than that as well. Lost out massively on him, unfortunately, and who knows if we weren't in administration, how his career would have been if he stayed. Obviously, made the most of it, going over to Wigan, then Chelsea, and winning all the things he's won now. It's always great when you see a player come through your academy and you see his early development, being a massive player at your club, and then going on to these big things for the bigger teams. It is something quite great about that, to see one of your own do that. And yeah, I'm still a fan favourite now. A lot of fans would have loved to have seen him come back. There was a period, I think it was when he was looking like on his way out of Chelsea, getting a lot of loan offers coming in. A lot of Palace fans would have loved to have seen him have a little loan stint back at the club. Again, probably more for nostalgia reasons, but
of course.
Victor Moses for me, I think is a fan favourite for me personally as well.
Yeah, I put Victor in. I mean, I think he only actually scored one goal for us, but it was against Man City.
Big result that one. To be fair.
And I remember because I remember there was a guy who used to work at West Ham, and he texted me. He's like, "Oh, he didn't pass it." I was like, "Oh, for God's sake!" It was on the hiding to nothing. This boy, he was there, but he was one of those guys who you just think if he had like a prolonged amount of game time somewhere, you would have seen him. He reminds me a little bit of obviously not physically, but he reminds me a lot of Antonio in terms of Antonio needed like 10, 15 games to get up to speed. And I think that's the same with Victor Moses. He was in and out of the team all the time, that he never really got any rhythm. But I always rated him. He was always a thorn in our side when he'd come and play against us as well. So it was nice. So that's how so you get him in, so he can't fuck you about. But anyway, it didn't work
exactly,
that way. I'll put Victor in. Agreed. Tick. Agreed. Nice. Right. Who is the next midfielder then, Harvey?
I went for one who played a lot of games for both teams, and I think was a really promising young player for us. Goes on to be a really big player for you as well, Hayden Mullins.
Yes, look. Now he hasn't changed.
Yeah, we're in sync.
Look at that. He has not changed. Honestly, I could probably if I took off the faces,
here, isn't there?
Yeah, if I took off the faces and moved them around, you wouldn't have noticed that. Yeah. Hayden Mullins. Yeah, I love Hayden. Top boy.
Really good player. And a player coming through at Palace as well, loads of potential. Goes on obviously to West Ham. I think it was straight after he was signed to West Ham, wasn't he? From Palace. And ended up going up with you as well. I think didn't he miss the FA Cup final for West Ham?
Yeah, he famously got sent off the week before.
That's right. Yeah.
Him and Louis Garcia had a bit of a tear up when we played each other, and it was it was obviously more of a blow to us than Liverpool.
Yeah, do you think that was a difference maker for the final? Having him,
definitely, because he makes us tick. It's a bit like now. I mean, you probably get it. There's probably players in your side who, when they don't play, you don't think about them, but you don't win. So, like the last two games, we've been playing we haven't been playing like shit, but we obviously Man United we didn't play very well, and obviously the Arsenal game. And the reason why is because I think Pablo Fornals hasn't played, and we interviewed loads of players around Mullins' time. Bobby Zamora, Luke Chadwick, all his era. They all put him in the team. I think Chadder's put him like right back just to get him in the team because he was so important to the team. And I asked Bob about it. I said, why do? Because obviously the fans don't put Hayden Mullins in their team, but you do. And he says, because they don't understand football. Literally, he was the guy in the middle doing everything. And when he wasn't there, do you know what I mean? That's
the work right in.
Yeah, exactly.
Making everything click.
Exactly. And every team's got them. And Mullins was the modern day version. And so, I think he was great. It was terribly underrated at West Ham. And I think he was brilliant. And he always did a job and was committed and just did all the dirty work. And fair play to him. Right, so that's good. That's good. Mullins is in. In. Moses, Mullins. Who is next?
Next, so I was kind of split again. I was between specifically central midfielder. I was thinking about Chiarte. I did
Yeah,
have him there thereabouts. I didn't go with him in the end because I think he's been a good player for
yeah,
Palace. I think he was an okay player for West Ham. I don't know whether he was. I don't know whether you go much further than that. To be fair, but I ended up going with Michael Hughes.
yes. Now,
Um,
yes, yeah, Mickey Hughes.
Lovely stuff. Again, his time at Palace, a player who again did, as you said with like Mullins, he kind of did the dirty work, kind of
Yeah,
made the everything click and tick over in the midfield. Was obviously ever present in when we got promoted, and we were in the Premier League 2004-05 season, and the season before that, he scored the winning penalty to get us to that final against you guys, of course, against Sunderland.
yeah.
So massive for that reason, keeping his nerve there on the big stage, and just the work rate he put into the side. I think he's definitely a fan favourite during that period in Palace's history.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think Mickey was great. I got Mickey Hughes in the team, and I think he was he was a little wizard, like Northern Ireland wizard, wasn't he? He was just there with
Baggy
his
shirt,
yeah. I mean, he
little
didn't,
man, big shirt.
yeah, exactly. That was the era when they all had baggy shirts, didn't they?
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, look at the state of Mullins' shirt. Look how big he is. Like the shirt you want. You can
like a
see the
parachute,
difference.
isn't he, when he gets going
Exactly.
there?
And there he was wearing the XL, and that was just before what I
Yeah.
called the patch era at West Ham, where we had kept on getting sponsors who went out of business, and then we had to put patches on the front, which was it was a very bad.
Oh God!
But what they would do is they cut out the shirt and like basically stuck it on top. So obviously when people sweated, that was one piece of material, and the patch was two pieces of material. So it looked fucking awful, West Ham. But yeah, Mickey Hughes, top man, and yeah, we'll get him on soon. So that's why I'm putting him on. Right, Mickey Hughes. Who is next, then, my friend?
Again, a player who a few of these players are much more Palace orientated than West Ham. I'll be honest. I put Joby McAnuff.
I put McAnuff in, actually.
Oh, really?
I put McAnuff in. Yeah, again, it was like more of a. He was, do you know? Because the only reason was because I did a quiz the other day, and it was a quiz about the last. I put together like family fortunes, and it was the last 10 players from Saïd Ben Rama to wear the number 9 shirt at West Ham, and Joby McAnuff was one of them.
Oh, wow, interesting.
Yeah,
a little bit of trivia.
There we go. We just throw this in. It's not, it's not just shouting out players' names. We try and educate at the same time, Harvey. Yeah, Joby McAnuff was one of those players. I was really gutted he didn't play enough for us because he was bloody skillful.
Absolutely, he's so exciting, and he was a player that I would have just been. I think he just left, or no, I think he was still in the side when I was first watching Palace, but I don't know. In those early days of me watching the team, I don't have vague memories of him, to be honest. But watching him on repeats of games and things like that, yeah, incredibly skillful player, and I've always had from family and friends so much. They heap so much praise on him and love towards Joby McAnuff, and obviously he's carried on playing well into his. He was still playing until like a few seasons ago, wasn't he? Late in Orient.
Is he still at the O's? I know he's at the O's. Is he still playing?
I think he's
playing.
And he's like 40 odd now, I think.
Yeah, still playing. Still
here. Yeah, there we go. So I think that showed his fitness to still be playing now. He was a very fit player back in that time as well. Put in the hard yards, and as you said, for Palace anyway, before the era of like Victor Moses and then Zaha was the skillful player in the side and made got people off their seats. It was that sort of player. Exciting to watch.
He was, and I mean, for us, he was the dawn of a new era at West Ham because he was brought in at the same time as Pardew brought him in. Still the Palace connection. Pardew brought him in. Old Chocolate brought him in with. I like Alan. I do like Alan. Do you know what? Because he's the only guy. He's the only manager, and I've said this before on the shows. He's the only manager I've worked with at West Ham who gave a shit about what I did. Who actually cared about what music we played in the stadium. He'd ask me what music we'd play, and it was, and then he'd suggest some shit. Like it always suggests bloody Frank Sinatra or Dean Martin. Yeah, it's not going to get 35,000.
Everyone asleep, yeah.
Exactly. Fly me to the moon. Come on, let's fucking do them. You know, me and my shadow. It's not going to work. It's not going to work, Alan. But anyway, so Alan brought in. Yeah, he brought in Nigel Coker, Adam Noland, and he brought in Joey McAnuff, all like from Wimbledon, and that was like his new era because and that was towards. Obviously we'd obviously gone down. We'd gone down on the 42 points. We had Michael Carrick. We had Joe Cole was leaving. We had David James was leaving. Jermaine Defoe. So it really was a changing of the guard.
Yeah.
And it was a shame he didn't get in as many games. I mean, he still played. I mean, I think technically only played one season, but I think he was great. And to be honest, there are others we could have had. There's plenty of others. We could have had Czech on there. I mean, I love Czech. I think Czech is a beautiful man. A beautiful man. I love him. I think he's so nice. He's so friendly.
Yeah.
When we used to do the players, like when they used to do open training sessions and stuff, and they'd sign all the players. Him, Alex Song, Sacco, they'd be there all afternoon signing autographs.
Still the same at Palace.
Yeah.
He's the sort of player. He's there. There's a handful of them that will always be doing. Like Joel Ward's another one comes to mind. There's players that will be there however long they're needed, and that's great to see. It's something when they actually care about it. A lot of players, probably don't want to be doing that after a training session or want to get home or something.
Yeah, I totally get it.
Naturally, but it means a lot to the fans for some of the players that do stay.
It really does. I remember sitting in the dugout watching us against FC Birkirkara in the Europa League qualifiers. I was sitting next to Czech and Diafra Sacco, trying to explain to them that this 22-stone forward that playing for FC Birkirkara it used to be a former Italian international. I'm showing him on Wikipedia. It's
honest.
It's Fabrizio Macaulay, whose name is. He played for like Inter Milan, and they were looking at him going, it was so funny. Oh, so funny. We still laugh at that. Right, so that's good. I tell you, that's a tricky midfield. I tell you what, there's some skill in that midfield.
Skillful wingers, got a bit of grit in the middle there.
You got Mullins just tying it all together. Right, let's go up front. Let's see who's going to get these goals for this team, Harv. Who's your first striker, my
man? Ian Wright.
Yeah.
I've got to do it. I've got to do it. I mean, what a player. Yeah. What a man. And as I was saying earlier about Wilfried Zaha, it's between Ian Wright and Zaha for the greatest player in Palace's history amongst the fan base. And I mean, Ian Wright, right in the middle of when I see my dad and my uncle, we go to get every game together. And they're obviously, they have it still clear as day, memories of watching him play in his peak, or well, Arsenal was his peak, obviously, but in that young early years at Palace, and the 1990 FA Cup final, coming off the bench and scoring with pretty much his first touch against United, and my dad and uncle explaining, reliving that moment in the ground, and just that whole era in that squad. Ian Wright, Mark Bright up front. It was just an unbelievable period in the club's history, the best period in the club's history in terms of like league finish, finishing place in the league. And what a striker! Obviously, went on to go do even more at Arsenal. It's just unbelievable player, unbelievable talent, and just goals. That's
goals. He scored.
Wherever
he went, he scored goals, man. Wherever he got, he was. And what I loved about Wrighty was, like people who would sponsor the match would pick man of the match.
Yeah,
Ian Wright. I remember several times he literally had just come off the bench. He hadn't even kicked the ball, and he'd won man of the match, so they could meet Ian Wright after the game. Do you know what I mean? He was like brilliant.
That's great.
And he was that great. I mean, you look at that team. A lot of them actually played together. We had Wrighty and Ruddock famously played together at West Ham. The famous Paolo Di Canio celebration where he pushed him over, and then we signed Paolo 2 weeks later. Wright. I loved Ian Wright. He was.
What a player.
What a player. As you said, goals wherever he scored, man. Just goals wherever he scored.
Of course.
Right, okay, so put Wrighty in. Easy one.
Yeah.
One more striker. One more spot, my friend.
One more. So also, I tried to get a bit of a mix of, try and mix the eras up as much as possible. As I didn't want it all to be just players from the same sort of period in history. So I've gone way back with this striker. Gone with Johnny Byrne.
Budgie Byrne.
Massive player. I mean, still Palace's record goal scorer post Second World War. Massive player for Palace. Came back after his time at West Ham as well at the end of his career. So really, it was only Palace and West Ham he really played for. So and then obviously massive in his time at West Ham. I think when you won the FA Cup, what year was that? 64, 65?
Yeah.
When you won the FA Cup, but I think he won the Hammer of the Year award ahead of Bobby Moore that year. I think that just goes to show what an influence he had in the West Ham side. And again, when you're talking about goals with Ian Wright, Johnny Byrne at Palace and West Ham just scored for his goal scoring record was ridiculous, especially during that era in football. So, what a player he must have been to watch back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I started doing this channel at the beginning of lockdown. Almost a year, because obviously it's a year anniversary, isn't it? And and to be honest, I wasn't particularly clued up on my history at West Ham really, and I've interviewed lots of players, lots of fans, and the older fans as well. And Budgie Byrne comes up at quite a bit. I mean, he's something like, I think he played about 200 games for us. I think he scored 100 goals in 200 games or something like that. Pretty much a goal every game.
About that ratio. Similar with Palace as well.
Yeah,
it's about that sort of ratio.
Unbelievable.
Right, and it's very hard to, obviously with Palace, we haven't had as many big names as West Ham have over our years played for us. But he's one that definitely, you pinpoint eras in our history. And all over the 50s, it's just all Johnny Byrne. Just you can't get away from it at the ground. In like old programs or season reviews or season history DVDs, for example. He comes up everywhere, and so it's a player that you can't even just growing up. He's a name that comes up, even if you don't know much about him. You've heard the name, and so. Yeah, Johnny Byrne, I think. We've got to put
Budgie in. Yeah, we've got to put Budgie in. And you're absolutely right. He was Hammer of the Year 93, 63, 64, and runner-up to here, and Bobby Moore was the runner-up.
That's saying something,
Impressive techers there. But yeah, we got to put Budgie in. We have to put him in. I mean, I had Freddie Sears, so
he was I had him behind them. The only reason was because of the goals. I didn't put him in, but Freddie Sears, Freddie Sears.
As I said, we had quite a few. As I said, we did a check. We could have had Carl Fletcher.
Yeah,
he was all right for us. We had Ian. We haven't said Ian Dowie's name yet.
Ian Dowie, yeah. I think he had a decent spell for Palace. It wasn't. Didn't play that many games for us, but I think his highlight was he scored an absolute worldie against Wolves in the I think it was the League Cup semi-final. I think 94. It was 94 overhead kick in that game, and it's like out of nowhere in Dowie.
But they all have that. It's like I like it when a defender scores a worldie. Like it's almost like they've got it. They've always got it in their locker. They don't like to show it.
But they always celebrate as if they're as shocked as the fans. They run away like, "What have I just done?" It's like
we could have had Mara Shamak as well.
Yeah.
Great player. Paul Kitson went on loan to. I didn't realize Paul Kitson was on loan.
Paul Kitson, yeah.
God dear. And we could have had Carl Reid as winger as well. Bless him. Good old Carl Reid. Never got there. You know what I mean? He was always there. Never really pushed on.
I mean, great bench.
Great bench.
I'll take that.
Lots of options on the bench, and then there's Shamak as well. So he had lovely hair though, didn't he? Lovely hair.
One of a kind, wasn't he?
Never had. It was almost like it was angular, wasn't it? His hair was angular. Bless him.
Like he never had quite enough to finish it off.
And it kept on going, didn't it? And then it sort of
just needed that little bit more.
Oh, my heart bleeds. My heart bleeds for him. My heart bleeds.
I mean, if I've seen a picture of him now, he's not got any hair. I think he's shaved it all off.
I say.
Looks completely different now.
Let's have a
I
look.
mean, I think he was still sticking with that haircut, even though it was starting to go a bit towards the end of
He's
his
sticking
career.
with that. He's
He
sticking with that.
stuck with it. Fair play to him.
There. Yeah, this was it. Bless him. Let me save that bit. I'll bring up. There, Shamak. Oh, bless him. God, his hairline was crap. He had a really crap. I mean, obviously mine's gone completely now, but his was appalling. Oh God, you don't realise it until you go back through everything. How we've had some really gash players as well, haven't we? You know, it's like.
I mean, yes. Yeah, but again, that's another reason why. There you go.
Look at the hairline. Look at the hairline.
I mean, it's weird because it's almost balding from the middle.
It's like it's like a reverse mullet, isn't it? It's
doing
that, you know.
You can't teach that. That is
bless
on
you.
another level.
We haven't all got a lovely lock of hair like you, Harvey.
Oh, this is lockdown here, mate. Honestly, no barbers.
Well, my art bleeds. You've gone for the Boris look. Fair play. Yeah, my art bleeds. I've just gone for the stock. He didn't mean to be this short.
Better safe than sorry, mate.
Yeah, we didn't mean to be this short though. It was. I said to my wife the other day. Well, no, the first lockdown, I think I gave my beard trimmers, and I thought, it's the same thing. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. I look like I had
really the hard way, did you?
Exactly. I had really bad alopecia, to be honest. And then then I got it. That's what it looked like. It's like ding, 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 ding. Anyway, so we got some stuff, and I said to her yesterday. It was like 2 weeks ago. Just put it on a 3. Just give me a 3. She, okay, you got it on 3. Yes, I've got it on 3. She had it on 3. She did, but not a number 3. She had it on 3 millimeters, which is number 1. And so,
oh my God. Is that what she thought when you meant number 3? It was the millimeter.
It says 3 on it, doesn't it? It does say 3 on it. It's fair play. But yeah, so like fucking Phil Mitchell. But anyway, so there's the team. We've put one together. There's goals there, mate. God, how many goals? God, those front two. Jeez.
I mean, yeah. I know I'm feeling confident that if we do get caught out up the pitch, we've got a back line that's going to sweep things up, you know.
Yeah, although we've Razorback, you know, this is obviously in a VAR world now.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, maybe
he's hardly going to play. Anyways,
we've got to be looking at that bench.
Yeah, exactly. It's that bench. Come on.
Yeah.
Bring him on. Bring them all on. No, yeah. Bring on Fonte. All's been forgiven.
There we go.
Halfback, it's been great. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for your time, buddy. It's been really,
Thank you very much, mate. I've really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
That's absolute pleasure. And obviously, if you fancy watching a bit of Palace content, as you said, Carvey's thing, red and blue site. Check them out. It's all good stuff. I love watching that. It sounds a bit weird, but I like watching other fans like not West Ham, because you just get another different opinion, particularly when you're playing that team as well. I find it really interesting.
Same with me. Yeah, going into a game, I think it's good to get that differing view. Maybe learn things you didn't know about the team going into it, don't you?
Very true. Very true. Very true. Okie dokie. Thank you very much for everyone for spending the time with us. Like, subscribe, share all that stuff. And from myself and from Harvey, take care, everyone. Stay safe. Wash those hands. Get those jabs when you get your appointments. We'll all be jabbed soon. I've had mine. I've had one already. I'm already
lucky
done. You. Under this camera, this is the lockdown body I didn't get, but because of it, I got a jab early. So that almost 40 years of eating pies has finally come in. All the skinny ones are going to be can't go on the beach or whatever. I'll be there like a beach whale. Anyway, for myself and Harvey, take care. Stay safe. Wash those hands. Come on, you Irons. And what do you guys say? Is it up the Eagles or
come on, you Eagles? Yeah,
come on, you Eagles. There we go. Take care, everyone. Over, baby. Oh, you had to ruin it. Take care, everyone.